Bishop says to me, he's no longer answering his phones. They are not picking up their phone. He says he was talking to Marufu and one or two of his guys. He sends messages to them. He calls them. Not even one of them had the courtesy to say, let's cancel. Debate rikuitwa na Joshua Maponga na Mparinga pamusoro pe Christianity nevadzimu. It's a show. Maponga is actually bullying Mparinga, pretending to be a very knowledgeable man who knows a lot. But he is abusing a person who is an amateur in theological discussions. Mparinga cannot have a doctrinal discussion with me. He ran away many times when we were arguing Pagomba. But who is representing the Christians? Try Mparinga.
Ora. Ndabuda mdeni, ndaloka madozi, ndapita machira, ndapeza kuyabota, nawo zangu zinotanga ndiri pampeda, tose gumba ndatoita meta, ora, zvakatangana maya kandirumira nemhiripiri, ora.
So last week or this week, brethren, on the 10th day, was it 10 or 11 on Friday? I was supposed to do a debate with one Evangelist Marufu from the SDA church. What happened is that Evangelist Marufu kept on talking about me. He says, I want to debate with Chiwenga. Chiwenga is refusing. And I gave a response earlier on. I said, Marufu is too junior to discuss doctrine with me. I wasn't looking down upon him. I listened to him when he was talking, telling people that is coming from the naApostle stories and so forth. And I listened to what he says, his reasoning, his understanding of doctrinal constructions, his theological background, and so forth. And I said, he's a puppy. I am a bulldog. He can't debate with me. Evangelist Marufu says, no, Chiwenga is afraid. He's refusing to debate with me because he's afraid. He goes on to different podcast platforms discussing me, continuing to say that I'm afraid of engaging. So before we did Revelation Gathering, I said to one of our bishops, talk to Evangelist Marufu and say, let's do a debate. So Evangelist Marufu says, okay, let's do it. So we agreed that we were going to do our debate on Friday, the 12th of September, or last Friday, this previous Friday. That's when we were supposed to do the debate. On Wednesday, I think it was on the 10th, Bishop says to me, he's no longer answering his phones. They are not picking up their phone. He says he was talking to Marufu and one or two of his guys. He sends messages to them. He calls them. Not even one of them had the courtesy to say, let's cancel, for example. Because we wanted to do it the previous week. The week ending 5 September. That is when I proposed that we do it. And Evangelist Marufu says he's not going to be around. He says, let's do it next week. I said, okay, it's fine. So we postponed my debate to the 12th of September. So I said, okay, we will do it. Let's grant him his wishes. I know why they want to invite me to debate. They want to score against me.
Yes.
But you can't sell Adventism. You can't debate Adventism with me.
No.
It's a mistake. I will unmask Adventism until you are embarrassed. Because Adventism is one of the most shallow and yet nicely masked religion.
Yes.
It is a false religion with a beautiful mask, but there's no depth in Adventism. It's very shallow.
It is shallow.
I have taught many times. I actually did a mini-series titled Apostle Chiwenga's Message to His Adventist Friends. I engaged many Adventists on public platforms when I was doing street preaching.
Okay.
I did Gomba outreach programs. Adventists came to Gomba. None of them, not even one, had a sound argument with me. Even in Chitungwiza, they would come, the Adventists, the SDAs. Until some were, I remember when we did another debate during the Gomba, we were using Facebook to live stream.
Okay.
One of the comments came from a lady who was in Australia, and he said, "These guys don't know how to debate. They are embarrassing us. I wish I was in Zimbabwe. I was going to embarrass this Chiwenga guy." And I replied and I said, "When are you coming?"
Yeah.
Because we live in Zimbabwe. Remember those days we said, we live in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
You don't have to yell and scream and insult your fellow SDAs. No. They did their best. Yeah. Let's have a plan. When are you coming to Zimbabwe? Yes. We can still schedule a debate with you.
Yes.
Yes.
She never responded. So I'm saying this, believers, because I don't like it. As gentlemen, we need to have some decency of, or at least, for example, to say, let me reach out and say, let's cancel the debate because of 1, 2, 3. They demanded a debate from me. I said no for more than a year, and they kept on discussing me. And I said, well, I don't lose anything by debating Marufu. But Marufu doesn't even understand his own doctrine.
Yeah.
But I think he wants to gain followers using my name. Let me give him what he wants.
Right.
And he will understand why I said no in the beginning. Now we schedule an appointment, a debate. We had made very good program, very good arrangement.
Yes.
We even discussed how the debate was going to happen, how long it was going to be. But one thing kept on telling me that this thing might not happen.
It's going nowhere.
But eventually, on the 11th hour, Marufu disappears.
He chickened out, Samai.
Yeah, but as a man, you should at least communicate.
Yes.
We can't do this debate anymore because of 1, 2, and 3. So I'm no longer excited about this. I feel like these guys, they love to talk about me to get relevant, but they are not sincere even in what they are doing.
No.
Takatanga na uye dare, vachiva vatanga dare remachinda.
Yes.
But the dare idea was our idea. You can check when their dare started and when our dare started.
Yes.
But we don't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong in learning and copying that which is good. What is rather unfortunate is that while they are copying what we are doing this side, they always talk about me in their podcast. And that is what people who are ungrateful do.
Yes.
They learn in silence and pretend that it's their organic idea. And when they come public, they want to attack the very person they are learning or copying, so that people may not see that they are copying from him. They don't want to give credit to somebody. So the best way to not give credit is when you are able to fight vehemently, to criticize and to label that person with all those kind of heavy words. So if you are in SDA, talk to your Evangelist Marufu and say, this is not fine. Don't challenge anybody to a boxing fight and then you refuse to show up. All right? Now, we know that people might fail to pitch up for many reasons. Maybe he's not feeling well. Maybe he got some other commitments. That's normal. What is not normal is to avoid answering calls and to avoid responding to messages. Why would you do that? You are the one who demanded a debate. Now you run away. Tomorrow you hear them saying, well, I don't know what they are going to say.
They will just say, Apostle Chiwenga was afraid to face us. even if it's them who chickened out.
That's why I decided to say it. Yeah. I decided to say it because if I don't say it now, he is going to change the story.
Yes.
But we do have the communications we were doing with them. We can provide it as proof. Why would we come here and lie that we had scheduled a debate? What does that debate give to us? We don't gain anything.
Nothing.
So this is not good.
And Evangelist Marufu knows that when he faces you, he will get unstuck. Because in the SDA church, in the SDA shrine, there is no office called an evangelist.
That is one of the reasons why we had said we don't want to engage him.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually said it. I said in a letter, there is no evangelist in the SDA. And I said, if the SDA wants a debate with Apostle Chiwenga, bring a national pastor.
Right.
Bring your best. You can't bring me an amateur like Marufu, who recently joined Adventism.
Yes.
I don't think he has even read the great controversy or the spirit of prophecy. I don't think he has read those books by Mama, of course, Mama Ellen White. But we have those books here. We read them because we don't want to have a debate from an uninformed position. We do not want to make allegations that are not true. All right. The second issue is that I do not think that Joshua Maponga is still in his right mind, because I don't see a reason behind doing a theological debate with Trimon Mparinga. Mparinga is semi-illiterate. How can you discuss theology with somebody who doesn't even know how to properly study books and understand the tenets of faith, the origin of Christianity, and understanding, reading books like the Church Fathers and Josephus and Cicero and others? This is not good. Maponga goes to Star FM, debates between the idea of worshipping our spirit mediums and Christianity. And then he beats Mparinga to a pulp. I watched a fraction of that video and I said, what is Mparinga up to? I think everybody must know his ability and know which battles to fight. You don't fight every battle. If you fight every battle, you will not last long. Because eventually the idea of fighting is to win something.
Yes.
So some battles have no incentive. Debate rikitwa na Joshua Maponga na Mparinga pamusoro pe Christianity nevadzimu. It's a show. Maponga is actually bullying Mparinga, pretending to be a very knowledgeable man who knows a lot. But he is abusing a person who is an amateur in theological discussions. Mparinga cannot have a doctrinal discussion with me. He ran away many times when we were arguing Pagomba. I cannot even ask him to come to a discussion. I've never done that. I can't invite Mparinga to a discussion. I can't invite Shava. I can't invite Magaya. I can't invite Matema. I'll be wasting time. There is no benefit in those discussions. I can't invite Masango, for example, to a theological discussion or a doctrinal discussion. It's a waste of time. When people talk, you must be able to understand where they are coming from.
Yes.
And say, okay, so where are we going with this discussion? So I want to advise Mparinga, don't be abused by Maponga. Go and preach your comic messages in those churches where they hire you. Get your suits and get your cars nicely and quietly. Maponga is using you to show himself like a very big scholar of theology. There is no benefit in this debate.
No.
There's no benefit in this debate. If I was in Zimbabwe, I would go to Star FM and debate the African traditional religion with Joshua Maponga. I can do that. I'm not scared of him. The reason why I don't want to debate with them virtually, it is because there isn't good blood between me and them. They badmouth me and slander me every time. And so such a discussion should happen in good faith.
Yes.
Where people have mutual respect for one another. So tikaita discussion takatarisana so. Kwatarazwa ndisingade ndogonongokubvisa mazino ipapo ipapo. Saka natisi padhuze nepadhuze ndechifila kuti handinyatsoita zvandoda kuita mushemu. Yeah. All bullies, don't discuss with them musina kutarisana.
Yes, yes, yes.
Maponga is a bully. I saw him being humbled by one guy. I can't remember when he was discussing with the Ndebeles about the Ndebele kingdom.
Okay.
I saw him being embarrassed and he tucked his little tail between his legs when he lied about the history of the Ndebeles. We are going to put the link of that debate on the description of this video. He pretends to know everything about everything. But much of what he says about the story of Zimbabwe is not true. And he was educated by the Ndebeles. They told him, don't tell us our history. We know it better than you. And they caused him to be quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched that discussion because I love to be acquainted with the history of my nation.
Yes.
And so every time I can, one of the Ndebele guys there is a scholar in Zimbabwean history, so I was following him before that debate.
Okay.
So my advice to Mparinga is friendly advice, brotherly advice. Don't be used by Maponga. These debates have nothing for you. He's using you to rise and build his own portfolio as a great personality who can defend Vadzimu and the African traditional religion. Now the world is going to say Christians do not have strong apologists to defend the Christian doctrine against African spirituality. But who is representing the Christians? Trimon Mparinga. And I think it's not fair. Pastor Juma, Mparinga cannot represent the Christians. No, it's not possible.
No.
So it's an advice. You can take it or leave it, but honestly speaking, there's no win in that debate. People think that I hate Mparinga. I don't. I'm just an objective man. Yes, I don't like to see him being beaten to a pulp like that by an old man who is abusing a younger man for his own personal ego. That is abuse. Where I grew up, there is a certain age where even if a young boy insults you, you don't clench your fist like this. You'd rather take a small branch from a tree and give that small boy a whooping. You can't say, let's fight. You have to know that I can't fight with this little boy. It is not my age. Why can't Maponga find Christian theologians?
Yes. Yes.
Why are you avoiding Christian theologians to debate Christianity? And one thing must be understood, that even when I say I can debate with Maponga, I don't debate with Maponga as a Christian, because I'm not a Christian.
No.
Maybe he doesn't know that I'm not a Christian, but I'm not a Christian. I've never been one. Since I became Apostle Chiwenga, I've never been a Christian.
No.
So I don't want to defend Christianity, because I'm not in Christianity. I belong to the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
I am a child of God.
Amen.
I am a saint. I am a believer. I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. I can defend faith in Jesus Christ against the African traditional religion.
Amen.
I don't want to defend Christianity, because I've also preached against Christianity. It's a bogus religion, started by the Romans. I don't follow the Roman establishment. I don't. My faith is not a product of the Nicaea Council. Not at all. I hope these are very clear issues.
Yes.
Because if I'm going to debate with Maponga, we have to redefine the debate. It cannot be the African traditional religion versus Christianity.
No.
Because I'm not a Christian. I don't even want Christianity to be defended, because it's bogus. Jesus was not a Christian. Peter was not a Christian. Paul was not a Christian. I am not a Christian. So this is something that needs to be understood. So one thing I must say also is that these guys are talking a lot about me these days. I understand why they are doing it. They can't ignore me. If you have nothing important happening in your life, you have to find someone else to talk about.
Yes.
How can Maponga, Mbaringa, Masango sit down in a podcast to discuss me and say, I need restoration? Restoration from what? Now think about it. These three men and other charlatans, they have never said I'm a man of God.
Okay.
But now they are talking about my restoration. Restoring to where? Because if you want to restore Chiwenga, first acknowledge where he was a true man of God.
Right. That's right.
Because if something was wrong from the beginning, nobody should be restored to something that is wrong. You understand?
Yes.
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 I don't need restoration. Huh? Restoration about what? From what? Restoration utorona masango.
Hey.
Now listen to me. If Maponga is an intelligent man in terms of theology, he shouldn't have been an SDA pastor for 20 years. Because the SDA doctrine is founded by a woman who dropped out of school at grade 3. That is evidence that whatever Maponga learned in university led him to follow a woman. He was my white's son for 20 years. He went to theology, studied theology, and he visited from country to country, preaching Adventism that was taught and preached by a woman who dropped out of school at 9 years old. What is the wisdom in that? Because if you say you are wise, we must check where you are coming from. You can see that he has a propensity of going to the extremes, from extreme religion of SDA to extreme African spirituality. Now you're talking about Vadzimu. Why can't he find a middle ground? Don't mention the names of people who died and say because you know about, for example, scholars, and then you say, I know Plato, therefore I'm educated. We don't need to hear the name of the scholars you studied. According to scripture, wisdom is proven by your fruits.
Amen.
After obtaining that theological degree, what did you do? A woman easily manipulated you. And you started believing that you go to heaven by observing the Sabbath. Is that wisdom now?
No, it's not. It's not.
20 years. Uri mwana wa mama, Ellen White. Nekuchenjera kwesoko. Uchibelieve kuti Jesu akapinda mu Hall of Holies in 1844. Kubva Jesu achiroverwa akazopinda kudenga in 1844. Uchibelieve izvozvo. Oya uchiti hanzi ndoda kucorrecta Chiwenga. No, you can't. So as far as the doctrine of Christ is concerned, the fact that he was an SDA pastor for 20 years is evidence that he is a very gullible man. How does a woman preside over a holy convocation that is prescribed in the Torah? Tell me one convocation that was presided over by a woman.
Zero.
Mukadzi wekuAmerica anoitisa vanhu sabata zvichibva kupi? Sabata holy convocation yakarayirwa vaJudha. There was no female priest in Israel. How does a woman convene a holy convocation and preside over it? And a man who claims to be educated sits down to teach a doctrine introduced by a deranged woman. How is that knowledge now?
Kana prophetess Anga singapinde mtembere.
Achiparidzere. So if Maponga wants to answer this question, I will wait for his response. If your education sent you to SDA church, made you a pastor there for 20 years, you wasted your school fees. Whoever was paying for your education, you must pay them back. That was wasted money and wasted years. 20. Uri pastor?
Oh, yeah.
Wobva wazobuda wotanga kutaura zvevadzimu. I spoke to somebody a few days ago who was saying Christianity was brought by the whites, so we don't like it. And I said, what you are doing is, it's called the ad hominem fallacy.
Okay.
Where instead of addressing the merits of the discussion, you find someone or something to fight, and you divert the attention of the people from the subject matter. It's called the ad hominem fallacy. What you must understand is that when we talk about Jesus Christ, don't confuse him with Christianity.
Yes.
Jesus Christ is not Christianity. Christianity is not Jesus Christ. Christianity is a religion started in Europe. Jesus never stepped foot into Europe.
No.
So these two are not to be equivocated. So what do you want to discuss now? Because if you hate Christianity, I will say you are justified to do so. It was used as a tool of subjugation by the Wild West. We can agree. But don't confuse that if you agreed that they used the Bible, therefore the Bible is evil. No. Because we all use the phone to make conversations that are very appropriate to communicate with our relatives. If one person uses the phone to curse or insult you, you can't hate the phone unless you are a fool. You can't say, I don't want to see a mobile phone anymore. Yesterday, somebody insulted me for 1 hour using this phone. You you are now showing that you don't analyze, you lack critical thinking skills. The phone is a tool. You might use it for something good, or you might use it for something bad. You may hate the Europeans for using the Bible to abuse, to steal, and to plunder, and to colonize Africa. That is justified, and that is reasonable. Don't confuse that argument with the gospel of Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with salvation, with colonialism. The Europeans did not bring the gospel. They brought a false gospel. Used it to colonize Africa. You never heard the true gospel. The true gospel doesn't make you down enough to sign documents that you don't have the capacity to read. And this is where I will ask those who advocate for African traditional religion and African spirituality, which is what I was discussing with somebody a few days ago. I said, you say the spirit mediums led us to win the war. The spirit mediums like Neanda, the spirit mediums like Chaminuka. Who else? Kaguvi. There's another one, Mulimo. They helped us. And so many other false stories mixed and concocted, like that soldiers disappeared. It's not true now. Don't believe everything, especially if it happened in the past. That soldiers disappeared is not a true story. Don't be deceived. If you are a historian, you know that even historical books are questioned for their authenticity. Because people can twist historical facts to suit a specific narrative. Scholars know that. Now, listen to me. I asked you one question. I said, where were the spirit mediums when we signed the Moffat Treaty or the Rad Concession?
Right.
Where were they? Where were the spirit mediums when we gave hunting and mining rights to Cecil John Rhodes? And then he manipulated the details of those agreements to say he now owns part of what he was using as concession hunting or concession mining. How did the spirit mediums allow our leaders to sign documents that they did not have capacity to read because they were all illiterate?
Yes.
Munhu asingagone kuverenga aisaina sei document iye asingagone kuverenga.
Rakaverengwa nechirungu chaasinganzwi.
Where were the spirit mediums when we signed agreements that sold our land for a penny? Where were they? Don't tell me that they led us to fight a war. Why didn't they stop us from being colonized in the first place? Because fighting a war was restitution. We could have avoided it by simply not capitulating to the forces of imperialism and colonialism prior to 1890. It was easy. We could have done what the Ethiopians did. Did we do that?
No, we didn't.
So when we put Christ here and the Vadzimu there, we know that by 1890, we didn't have Christ in Zimbabwe. Taivene Vadzimu, vakafoira Vadzimu, tikabirwa minda nemapani edu nemasango edu nezvicherwa zvedu, Vadzimu vakatarisa. We have evidence of how useless our Vadzimu were in the days of colonialism. They failed us. Zvavanonzi vanoona zvatisingaone. Why didn't they warn us about the 1884 Berlin Conference? Why didn't they warn the Ndebele Kingdom, the Roji Kingdom, and the Zezuru Kingdom to fortify themselves? Why didn't we invent guns in preparation for war? in the work of the scramble for Africa. Where were they? You now want to come up and say, vadzimu vedu vakanaka chaizvo. Iye zvinomuda kubhadhara varungu kuti makavatorera minda makanga mabirwa futi. You want to compensate the whites for the land you took back from them after they had stolen it from us. But you are still saying the vadzimu are very wise. How wise are they? Huh?
Yeah.
If African civilization is greater than Western civilization, how come our civilization died at the construction of the Great Zimbabwe or the Egyptian pyramids? What industry were the pyramids built to support? Tell us, the Egyptian pyramids were built to expand which industry? To bring which money from where? If you tell me that civilization started in Africa, I will ask you, what then stopped the civilization from evolving like it has done in other civilizations? Why did we get stuck in the Iron Age? What happened? How did we get stuck in the Stone Age? If we were able to build Great Zimbabwe, how come we never built any machine? Huh? Takatadziswa nani kugadzira futi? So our nostalgia is misplaced. We are arguing that we are superior in terms of industrial acumen and development, but the evidence on the ground does not support us.
Yes.
Kunonzi kuvaraidza nguva kuteya nzou neriva. The Great Zimbabwe was not an industry. It was the king's palace and the king's fortress. It doesn't improve the lives of citizens. It is not a solution to a problem that affects the society. At this point, it is now a museum. It is now a historical site that people come and see like that, and they go like a mountain or a river. It's not a solution. Show me African civilization solving African problems. Tell me which problems did we solve in our civilization. Tell me what problem the Egyptian pyramids were solving. Did we bury the dead Egyptian kings there? Is that a problem now?
No.
Is that a problem, Pastor Chiwenga?
No, it's not. No.
At best, the Egyptian pyramids are symmetries.
Yeah.
How can you use symmetries as example of civilization?
No.
How can you build such a huge tower simply to bury a dead body? What are you talking about? How does that make sense to you? Why didn't we evolve to go into the industrial revolution, making machines and engines like what Germany did, what France did, what America did, what Britain did? If we were the mother of civilization, did the mother die before time? What happened to the mother of civilization? It's a simple question. I'm not insulting my people. I'm asking relevant question. If Africa is the mother of civilization, where is Mama? What happened to Mama? Did she die trying to give birth? Are we not the Africans born to this woman called Africa? Look at us. We are learning Western designed education. We can't even come up with a homegrown educational curricula for ourselves. And yet we have the guts to say Africa is the mother of all civilization. No, that's not true now. Let us not deceive ourselves with untruth claims. I haven't seen a civilization design made in Africa that was useful for the common African people. All I see are structures that were built by kings out of their own ego, out of their desire to preserve themselves and to show themselves as rich kings. There's nothing done or designed for the common people. That is not civilization. Civilization is tested on the common man on the ground. If the common man's life is impacted positively, that's development.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine 100 years from now, people saying Zimbabwe was developed in 2025, and the evidence of that development is Mnangagwa's motorcade. It was full of Ford Raptor vehicles. Zimbabwe was developed baba dakuratidza motorcade ya president wanga ari pamazuva iwayo motikari dzachina dziri 70 kudai so. Proof of development cannot be the president's motorcade. Take me to the public hospital. Take me to the rural school. Take me to the rural clinic. Take me to the borehole where villagers are fetching water. That's where I test the standard of life of a people. Not the president's state house or the president's motorcade.